I'm 30, female. My husband Matt is 33, male. We've been married for 4 years. His sister Jenna, 35, female, has always had a habit of being too comfortable showing up at our place whenever she felt like it. At first, it was innocent enough. She'd pop by on a Saturday morning with coffee, hang out for a little while, and leave. I did not mind. I thought it was nice, really, that Matt's family was close-knit. But gradually, her visits became more frequent and more random. She started showing up on weeknights without texting first. One time, she came over at 9 a.m. on a weekday while I was still in my robe and laughed off my surprise with, "Family doesn't need an invite." Sometimes she'd even bring her dog, despite me telling her that Matt and I preferred no pets in the apartment due to my mild allergies. It was exhausting, my doorbell ringing at odd hours, trying to work from home while Jenna rummaged through the fridge or critiqued my grocery list. She'd make little comments like, "It's cute that you and Matt do meal planning like boring old people," or rearrange my spice rack because it made more sense her way. She'd mask everything with that sugary, passive-aggressive tone. Matt talked to her a few times about texting beforehand. She'd always act wounded, saying she just loved being close to her little brother and that family should not need formalities. Around this same time, my grandmother, my mom's mom, fell seriously ill. She'd suffered a stroke earlier in the year and was slowly recovering, but then she had a second stroke. I was extremely close to her. She basically raised me when my parents worked long hours, taught me how to cook, knit, fold a fitted sheet, all those little things you carry forever. When she was admitted to the hospital again, I was there almost every day. My mom lived in another city and came in when she could. But since I was local, I stayed by my grandmother's side as much as possible. Sometimes I went before work, after work, or late at night to read to her or just hold her hand. During this period, Jenna's behavior shifted. She kept dropping by even though Matt had explained where I was. She'd text me while I was at the hospital, asking if I was mad at her or avoiding her. I explained gently that I was busy at the hospital. She said, "Okay," but her tone was cold after that. Then the announcement visits increased. Sometimes she'd come by 2 or 3 times a week. If I was not home, she'd leave cookies or helpfully rearrange things. Once I reached for cinnamon and grabbed turmeric because she'd reorganized my spices without asking. One particularly exhausting day, after a sleepless night at the hospital, I came home to find Jenna sitting on our couch, shoes off, watching Netflix. She had let herself in using an emergency key we'd shown her once, just in case we ever locked ourselves out. She said she'd come to cheer me up. I was too drained to argue. I sat quietly with her for a bit and then excused myself to bed. After that, I told Matt we needed to move the key. He agreed. It felt like an invasion of privacy. When Matt gently brought this up to Jenna again, she cried and accused me of shutting her out. That same night, she sent me a long message saying she missed spending time with me, did not understand why I was making her feel unwanted, and that I was prioritizing someone who was already half gone instead of spending time with people who were still here. I was stunned. My grandmother was still alive. She could hear me, feel me holding her hand. I was not going to skip being with her just to binge watch TV with Jenna. The following week, Jenna stopped messaging me. I thought she'd finally backed off, but then my mom forwarded me a bizarre message Jenna had sent her, saying she was concerned for my mental health and that I was clinging to dying relationships instead of letting people in. My mom was furious. I had no words. Soon after, Matt's aunt texted, asking if things were okay between Jenna and me. Turns out, Jenna had been telling the extended family that I'd become distant, cold, and emotionally checked out. Meanwhile, I was spending every spare hour at the hospital, helping my grandmother eat, trying to comfort her, whispering to her through her confusion. And now Jenna was painting me as some villain. Matt tried again to reason with her. She claimed I was hiding behind grief to avoid people, that I was using Grandma's illness as an excuse. That was not an excuse, it was my life. One evening I came home to a note on the counter. Jenna had stopped by, tidied the living room, and left a casserole in the fridge. The note ended with a smiley face and, "Hope you have time for me again soon." I stared at that note for a long time. I was utterly exhausted. Then I had an idea. I decided it was time Jenna experienced what she had been putting me through. Unplanned visits. No boundaries, dropping in whenever she wanted. So one day, I packed backpacks for my kids, Liam, 5 male, and Anya, 3 female, juice boxes, snacks, picture books, toys, no text, no call. I just drove them to Jenna's house and knocked on the door. When she opened it, I smiled, handed her the kids and said I had errands and left. I did not wait for a reaction. I just drove off. She'd always said, "Family doesn't need an invite, right?" That first time, she did not message me. I returned at lunchtime. Jenna looked frazzled. Enya had one sock missing, toothpaste on her shirt. Liam was eating dry cereal straight from the bag. Jenna looked like she wanted to say something but did not. I thanked her, gathered the kids, and left. The second time I dropped them off early on a Saturday. Jenna answered in a silk robe with a coffee mug. I smiled, waved, and left before she could protest. I spent the morning at the hospital with my grandmother, walking the halls, sitting by her bed, no phone checks, no guilt. When I returned, Enya had red nail polish on 2 fingers. Liam had apparently knocked over a reed diffuser. Jenna forced a smile. I said nothing. The third time, she snapped. That morning, I dropped the kids off around 9. She looked very put together, hair done, full makeup. I did not know she had booked a spa day with her friend. Facial, massage, mani-pedi, the whole thing. She looked surprised and tried to object. I simply told her I had a lot to do and left. 10 minutes later, the texts started, calm at first and then irritated. By the 5th voicemail, she said I was being selfish, inconsiderate, that she was not a free babysitter, that she had plans, and my having children did not entitle me to her time. She even texted Matt, asking what was going on. He asked if I was okay. I said yes. He asked if I wanted him to call her. I said no. I told him I'm just giving her a taste of what she's done to us for months. When I picked the kids up, she did not open the door right away. After 5 minutes, she finally emerged carrying Enya and dragging Liam by the hand. Without a word, she handed them off and shut the door. That night, she posted a cryptic rant on Instagram about people who use you and drain your energy, clearly aimed at me. Friends forwarded it to me. The next morning, Jenna sent me a long message saying I had crossed a line, that she loved Liam and Anya, but I had manipulated her kindness, that she had cancelled her spa day and lost her deposit, that she was single, child-free, with her own life, and I had no right to treat her like a convenience. I did not reply. Instead, I packed up the kids again the following week and drove to her house, and this time she did not open the door. I could hear her inside, but she wouldn't answer. After a few minutes, I left with the kids and left a sticky note on her door. Just like old times, right? That evening, another voice message. Jenna said she was done with the games, that I was bitter and passive aggressive, that I was weaponizing the kids to punish her, that I had ruined our relationship, and that she could not look at Matt the same way anymore because he was letting this happen. She said I had become cold and spiteful, that I was no longer welcome at her house. If I dropped off the kids again, she wouldn't open the door. Matt asked if we should sit down and talk with her. I said no. We'd had too many conversations already. She never listened. She never thought she'd done anything wrong. In her mind, everything was out of love. But love respects boundaries. Love doesn't just show up uninvited and expect the world to revolve around it. Now that Jenna had finally felt what that was like, she called it disrespect. A few days later, we found out she'd been messaging other relatives, claiming she was worried about me, saying I was not handling stress well, that I was unstable, that she felt unsafe being involved with us, that I was using the kids to lash out. She twisted everything, left out her unannounced visits, the guilt text, the way she'd criticized me for being at the hospital too much. It would have been laughable if it hadn't been so grossly unfair. I told Matt I did not want her around the kids anymore. He agreed. He told Jenna she was welcome to visit if she apologized, but until then, the door would stay closed. He texted her that himself. She hasn't replied. It's been a few weeks now. No visits, no messages, no guilt tripping. Just filtered Instagram posts and inspirational quotes. Sometimes I wonder if she's sitting there, telling herself I overreacted, that I was too sensitive, that she was just trying to be part of our lives, and that I'm cruel, that I ruined her spa day on purpose, and that I used her. But I know what happened. I know what she did, and I know how it felt. Night after night in that cold hospital room, whispering to the woman who once sang me lullabies while Jenna flooded my phone with guilt for not watching TV with her. She taught me what uninvited really meant. So I showed her. AITA? Update 1. A couple of weeks after Matt and I had agreed that Jenna wouldn't be seeing the kids anymore, something happened one night that really caught me off guard. It was just a normal bedtime routine. Liam was brushing his teeth, humming like he usually does, when he suddenly asked me if Aunt Jenna had gone on vacation. The way he said it was so casual, like he'd been thinking about it for a while and finally decided to ask. I told him no, she hadn't gone anywhere. She just was not visiting lately. He looked confused for a moment and asked if she was mad at us. That simple question hit me harder than I expected. Before I could say anything, Anya came with her bunny blanket, rubbing her eyes, and asked why she was not getting jelly bears anymore. Jenna used to bring her a little bag of them every time she came over. Both of them weren't upset or sad, just curious, wondering why something so normal in their world had suddenly stopped. Somehow, that made it feel even worse. I did not want to lie to them, but how do you explain something like this to a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old? I asked Liam why he thought Jenna might be mad. He told me that Jenna had once said that I did not like her anymore and that I was too busy for her these days. Then he said that Jenna had told Anya that Mommy sometimes ignored people who cared about her. Hearing that in their sweet little voices made my stomach twist into knots. It was not shouting or direct insults. It was soft, small comments, the kind that settle into a child's mind without them even realizing it. That was worse to me than if she had just yelled at me. She had tried to plant these little ideas in their heads, to make herself the one who was hurt, the one they should feel sorry for. And that meant she was not just trying to mess with me anymore, she was messing with my kids. I knew I had to say something to them. I could not just brush it off. I sat them down on the couch and explained that sometimes grown-ups need space from each other. That even when you care about someone, if they aren't being kind or respectful, it's okay to take a break. I told them that this was not their fault, and they did not need to feel worried. I told them that sometimes adults just need a little time apart so everyone can feel better. Liam nodded like he understood, though I was not sure how much he really got it. Anya asked if Jenna would come back when I felt better. I just hugged them both and said that we were all okay, and that was all they needed to know right now. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, I could not stop thinking about it. It really hit me how sneaky and unfair those little comments from Jenna were. She hadn't shouted, hadn't been openly mean, but she had still tried to turn the kids' feelings in her direction, to make herself seem like the victim, to make me look like the one in the wrong. It made me realize how important boundaries really are, not just for me, but for my kids. They need to know that not all attention is good attention, that not all love is healthy love, that family isn't always safe just because they're family, and that it's okay to walk away from someone who's making you feel bad, even if they act like they care. I started reading more about this kind of thing, how kids soak in these small comments, how adults sometimes use children to get their way when they can't control the grown-ups around them. Everything I read just made me feel even more certain that keeping Jenna at a distance had been the right choice. Matt felt the same way. He told me he'd noticed Liam seemed calmer lately, not so on edge, not watching the door or asking who was coming over. And Anya was not clinging to my leg every time I tried to leave the house. Those might sound like small things, but to us it felt like the house was finally getting a little bit of peace back. Then, one afternoon, a card came in the mail. It was addressed to Liam. There was nothing in it for Anya, which already did not sit right with me. Inside was a birthday card and a handwritten note saying how much Jenna missed him, how she hoped he still remembered baking cookies with her, and how she hoped to see him again soon when things were back to normal. I sat there holding the card for a long time. I did not show it to Liam. I did not say anything to him about it. I took the card and put it away in the box I keep in the closet. A box full of old things I do not know what to do with. Notes, photos, little pieces of the past that feel too heavy to throw away, but too painful to leave lying around. I did not message Jenna. I did not reply. I didn't give her the reaction she was probably hoping for. Right now, I'm choosing silence. I'm choosing peace. I'm protecting my kids from small hurts that wear the mask of affection. I know Jenna isn't done. I know sooner or later she'll try something else. Another message, another gift, another attempt to pull us back in. But this time, I'll be ready, and I won't let her get through. Update 2. Hi, I'm back with an update. A few things have happened that I want to share. It started with a single post. A picture of Liam from maybe a year ago, sitting at Jenna's kitchen counter, holding a cookie and grinning. The caption was something vague about how quickly children grow and how some people forget who was there through it all. No names, no tags, no obvious shade, but of course I knew exactly what she meant. She knew that anyone who had been around us long enough could figure it out too. At first, I didn't react. I showed Matt. He just rolled his eyes. We both figured it was her usual attention seeking, so we moved on with our night. But within a day, she followed it up with another post, this time a photo of Anya asleep in Jenna's arms. The caption said something about losing people without even getting the chance to say goodbye. Again, no names, just emotional bait. Later that evening, I got a message from one of my cousins asking if everything was okay between Jenna and me. That's when I knew Jenna was not just posting these for herself. She wanted a reaction. She wanted people talking. The thing about Jenna is she's always been calculated with her social media. She rarely posts anything personal unless she's trying to get a certain response. These aren't posts about genuine sadness. They were posts meant to get pity, to make it seem like I had coldly and cruelly ripped her away from the kids she loved so much. And since a lot of our extended family only knows what they see online, they do not see the behind the scenes drama, some of them were starting to fall for it. Within a few days, I got a DM from Matt's second cousin saying they hoped everything could be worked out soon and that Jenna must be hurting a lot. Another relative commented on one of Jenna's photos saying they missed the family being close and hoped things weren't too broken. It felt like watching someone slowly rewrite history while you're standing behind a glass wall, screaming, and no one can hear you. I did not reply to anyone. I did not comment on Jenna's posts. I did not post my own vague updates. I thought maybe if I gave it no attention, it would fade, but it did not. Instead, Jenna started posting more. Old photos of the kids, pictures from family gatherings, each one paired with some bittersweet caption about time slipping away or love not being enough. It was like she was building this slow, quiet campaign, making herself look like the heartbroken aunt who had done nothing but love us, and now was left alone. And people started shifting around me, not in a big dramatic way. It was more subtle. Certain aunts who used to like my posts did not anymore. A few family group chats went quiet when I joined in. The usual replies and reactions to normal things. Funny pictures of the kids, updates about life, they just stopped. Not cruel, just cold. At one point, one of Matt's aunts messaged me privately and said she did not want to take sides, but she hoped I knew Jenna was really hurting. She suggested maybe I should reach out and try to clear the air. I sat there staring at that message for a long time and I did not reply, because all I could think about were the things Jenna had done when no one was watching. The little comments to my kids, the manipulation, the way she used Liam and Anya when she could not get to me directly. And now this, a public, quiet smear campaign wrapped up to look like sadness. I wondered how far she'd go, if she even believed her own version of the story anymore. For a while, I kept silent. I figured the posts would burn out on their own. But one night, after another round of old photos and vague, guilt-tripping captions, I told Matt that I needed to decide, either let her keep spinning this version of events or say something, just once, to set things straight. So I posted a simple story, just a black background with white text, no names, no tags. I wrote that no one should use children to fight adult battles. That people who truly respect your boundaries won't try to make you the villain for having them. That sometimes peace means walking away even when others won't stop chasing. I posted it and logged off. No explanations, no comments. The next day, Jenna posted again, this time a picture of herself alone, holding a glass of wine. The caption said something about not needing to explain yourself to people who already believe you're the problem. And that was fine. She could keep posting, because after that, something shifted. A few relatives started messaging me privately, not many, but a few. One told me she understood now, that she'd been through something similar with her sister-in-law and had spent years feeling guilty about it. Another said the post really helped her feel okay about setting her own boundaries. I did not post anything else. I didn't need to. Jenna kept at it for a while longer. The occasional sad caption, an old photo here and there, but over time, her posts started getting fewer likes. The comments dried up and people moved on. But I did not forget. I watched it all. How someone can quietly attack your life while pretending to be the one who's been wronged. How easy it is for people to believe a sad story when they do not know the whole truth. How some people love to see a victim until they realize the victim isn't so innocent. And even now, I do not know what Jenna's next move will be, but I know mine. I'll protect my peace, no matter how loud she gets. Update 3. I thought things had finally quieted down. After my one post about boundaries, the simple story with no names, just words about protecting your peace. Jenna seemed to back off, at least publicly. Her usual followers had stopped reacting as much. The sad captions and old pictures got fewer likes. Family group chats that had been cold were starting to feel normal again. I was not getting messages from cousins asking if things were okay. For the first time in a long time, it felt like the drama might finally be fading. Matt and I had even talked about how things were slowly getting back to normal. The kids seemed more settled too. They weren't asking about Jenna as much. Anya stopped bringing up the jelly bears and Liam stopped looking confused when Jenna did not show up anymore. In my heart, I thought maybe we'd finally turned a corner. And then last week, it all started again, but this time in a way I was not expecting. It began when my mom called and she asked if I'd seen Jenna's newest post. I hadn't. I'd been busy with the kids and work and honestly hadn't thought about Jenna in weeks. My mom sounded annoyed. She told me to check Instagram when I had a chance. When I looked, I saw it. A new post on Jenna's feed. This time it was not a sad caption or an old photo. It was a long paragraph, almost a letter about family betrayal, about losing connection with people you love, about how certain people punish others for caring too much. It ended with a comment about how some children grow up without knowing how much love they've been shielded from because adults rewrite history. Again, no names, but it did not need names. The timing, the wording, the tone, it was clear who and what she was talking about. And this time it hit differently because after weeks of quiet, after things had been settling, it felt like Jenna was trying to stir it all up again. She was not done. She was not moving on. She was doubling down on her version of the story and now making it sound even bigger, like some big family tragedy, instead of her simply being asked to respect boundaries. The worst part, some people were falling for it again. Within an hour of the post, I got messages from two distant relatives. Both said they hoped the kids weren't being caught in the middle and that families should not tear each other apart. Neither asked what had really happened. Neither seemed to care about the full story. They were just reacting to Jenna's version, the one that made her look like the sad, loving aunt who had been unfairly pushed out. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to decide what to do. I did not want to get dragged into another round of online drama. I did not want to start posting explanations, screenshots, or long captions defending myself. But I also did not want my kids being used like this, as characters in Jenna's story, tools to get sympathy from people who did not know the truth. Matt and I talked it over that night. He said he was done giving her the benefit of the doubt. He said her latest post made it clear she hadn't learned anything, and that if anything, she was getting more comfortable twisting things to her advantage. We both agreed. Jenna was not going to be part of our lives again. Not for now, maybe not ever, unless something seriously changed. The next day, Matt sent her a message. It was not mean, it was not dramatic. Just a clear, calm message saying that this constant posting needed to stop, that dragging the kids into it, even indirectly, was crossing a line, and that if it did not stop, we would be cutting contact entirely. Not just for now, but for good. Jenna did not reply. But that weekend, one of Matt's uncles called him. Apparently, Jenna had started messaging some of the older family members privately, telling them how worried she was about how this is affecting the kids, and saying things like she hoped Matt would step up and fix the situation. The guilt tripping was back, but this time behind the scenes. That's when I realized this was not going to just stop on its own. Jenna was not going to wake up one day and decide to move on. This was who she was. Someone who could not stand not being the center of the story. Someone who could not handle having her actions called out, even gently. Someone who would rather spin a new version of events than face the truth. So, I made a decision. We were going fully no contact. Not just with Jenna, but with any family member who tried to bring her messages to us or guilt us into fixing things. Matt agreed. We told our parents and siblings, anyone close enough to be in the loop, that we were done. We did not want to hear about Jenna's posts. We did not want messages forwarded. We did not want updates, and we were done giving her space in our lives. If she wanted to keep posting for attention, fine, let her. We would no longer be part of it. It was not an easy choice. I hate the idea of cutting family off. I hate that it came to this, but watching her quietly poison the air around us, watching her turn relatives against us with half-truths, watching her try to use my children as part of her pity act. That was the final straw. I'm not going to sit back and let someone rewrite my life, and I am not going to let my kids grow up thinking this kind of manipulation is normal. They deserve better. We all do. So, this is where we are now. No contact, quiet, peaceful. I do not know what Jenna will do next, but whatever it is, I'm not playing along anymore. And if that makes me the villain in her story, so be it. I'd rather be the villain in her story than the pawn in her game. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.